Meet the Be Quiet P-Rock Pro 3 CPU air cooler. Special thanks to Be Quiet for sponsoring today's video, but as always, any opinion expressed is strictly our own. That being said, if you're interested in this cooler or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. It's available in two color options. We have black and we have silver. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, you'll find your product literature in multiple languages, walking you through everything you need to know about what's included. Followed by Intel socket installation instructions. And those continue on the back side right there. And then we have our AMD installation instructions right there at the bottom. Everything's really detailed, thorough, step by step, with images showing you everything you need to know. Next, we have our fan clips, we have our 4 spacers, we have our AMD kit right here, followed by the Intel kit right there. We have 2 included fans. One is already installed. They're both 120 millimeters. Specifically, they're the Pure Wings 3 fans. So we'll take a look at it right here. They're PWM. The one that's going to go in the center right here, we have a split cable on there to connect to the other fan, which is nice. So all that's built in. Airflow directions right there on the side. Be Quiet's branding. Very satisfying to watch that spin. And then here's a look at the cooler itself with Be Quiet's logo and branding, airflow indicator on the fan. There's a look with the clips already installed. We have pre-applied thermal paste down here. Pretty cool. And then you can see all of our heat pipes right there as well. Get a feel for the thickness. Very nice. Now let's go ahead and get this installed. The CPU we're going to be using in our test bench today is the Intel i9-13900K. So we grab the Intel kit here, and you follow a similar procedure for both Intel and AMD, but they are a little bit different. But the first thing we have to do is build our mounting back plate. So we have ours assembled right here for the LGA 1700 socket, which is what the CPU is. It's also configured for the 1851 socket from Intel, which is the latest and greatest, but it's very easy to configure this. What you do on the back is figure out if you're 1 or 2. So 1700 and 1851 is going to be in the 1 position. And if you look on here, it's clearly labeled 1 and 2. So 1 and 2, and then on the side we have this little lip or tooth in the bracket itself that then we line up our metal piece here in the 1 or 2 position. And then this side you take the little rubber washer and put it down and repeat that all 4 times. So clearly labeled. Next step is to go ahead and put this through the back side of our motherboard. We have 4 holes right here where this will line up. So it should look just like this, where we have all 4 poking out and through. Now it's time for the next step, where we're going to take these guys, which are clearly labeled in the up position, and we're going to put them through each one of the metal pieces sticking up. So it should look just like this. Now we can take our bracket piece, and we're going to line this up. And we have a CPU and a little arrow there. It'll be in the 1 or 2 position to match everything else. So in our case, it's the 1 position again. And then lastly, we take this little guy, and now we'll screw the bracket down in place. Now at this stage, we're ready to place our CPU cooler, and we'll tighten down the last screws on the cooler right here with those 2 threads. On our cooler, we can go ahead and pop off the plastic protective cover, and we're just going to line it up just like so. And gently, it'll rest in place right here, and we'll tighten down those 2 screws. Both screws are tightened in place. Now we can add our fans. You can see how I have my first fan here positioned due to the size of our RAM, so yours might look a little bit different there. And then for our second fan, we're going to line it up just like this in the center. Will gently work its way down. and then we'll just clip it right on. We want to make sure at this stage too that we have our airflow indicators properly aligned, which we do here. The cooler air is coming in right here and exhausting out the back side of our cooler. Take a look at everything booted up and powered on right here at idle. See how we have it connected. So we're using the CPU fan header there. And then we have our adapter and splitter built onto the fan that we connected into. So everything's through one header there. And take a look at the fan spinning. Let's listen in to see how loud it is. You really can't hear it at all. I can hear some other noises here in the studio, but not the fan. Now we have it maxed out here at 100%, so give it a listen. I mean, for all things considered, with two fans right there, that is really not loud at all for all the air that it's moving and pulling through. We're left with one burning, or should I say cooling question. How does the PureRock Pro 3 stack up against the competition? Let's find out. First, our frame of reference will be cost. This costs on average about 14% below the average CPU cooler that we've tested. So it's going to be on the value side of things, but are we going to get 14% less performance since we're not paying the same price as the average? Well, let's go ahead and find out. First, looking at max TDP measured in watts, this comes in at 250 TDP, only 3 TDP below average. What does TDP even mean? Well, a lot of times we get the question, will this cooler work for my CPU? We put some of the latest and greatest Intel and AMD models on screen, so you can take a look and hopefully you can find your CPU or an equivalent to get a better feel for where your cooling needs will be. Looking at the design of this cooler, we have 6 heat pipes, whereas the average is 5.4. So typically you get 2, 4, or 6 heat pipes. So hopefully that kind of helps you know where we land in our data. We have some of those 4 heat pipe models pulling this average down. Moving along to our thermals, we tested this cooler on our Intel 13 900K CPU in an open air style test bench. At idle speeds, we come in 2 degrees Celsius above average. 31 is more than respectable. And we're following a similar pattern here. Once we bump up the wattage to 65 watts, 2 degrees Celsius above average. And we see a smidge more separation at 95 watts, 49 versus 46. And the gap widens a little bit more at 120 watts, 56 versus 52. And we hold steady at that 4 degrees Celsius above average mark at 170 watts. And then we max everything out. Our CPU hits that built-in threshold and protection at 100 degrees Celsius. When everything's maxed out, we get 306 watts. That's going to be a little bit below average. But our speed stays the same at 5.2 gigahertz, which is right at average. Moving along to noise levels, at idle we come in 2 decibels below average. The lower the value, the quieter your cooler is. And then we tell a similar story when everything's maxed out. Now keep in mind we have 2 fans running at a full 100%. And we're 4 decibels below average. So it's safe to say Be Quiet lives up to its name. Where does that leave us in regards to our Be Quiet PureRock Pro 3? There's really not much to say besides this is a quiet and capable cooler that's cost effective. And did I mention quiet?